So let's select our terrain. Let's move it over a little bit. Let's preview it with 2 on the keyboard. And then what we can do is go to script, host split EXR ultra. And you get this thing. And what this will do is it will split out all of our passes. So you can see now we can view with our with the 2 key on our keyboard, we can view our individual passes. Because the thing is, Fusion doesn't really have something like Nuke with shuffle. You don't really have that in here. These things do come in as sort of passes in here, so you can select something and then go to format and then channels, and you can put certain stuff in channels here. Well, generally what you just do is you just put them inside of the color channels and then you use them that way. So then what that means is you need to go to format, and let's say I want to load my diffuse. I would put diffuse, 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 and then I have my diffuse. But you can see that's quite a lot of work. So that's why this script is super useful, because that does that for you. So you can see that's essentially what that does. Terrain here, the split EXR turns off your alpha by default. So let's bring that back, because I am going to use my alpha from my beauty later. So I'm going to put alpha to A. So we have our alpha back. Right, and now let's rebuild our beauty. So this is our beauty render. Of course, we've already seen that, so it looks pretty good. And we're going to rebuild that with our passes, because then we have some more control. So let's grab our diffuse. Let's view it. Start diffuse. So you can see this just has our diffuse thing, so none of the other stuff. So let's select it and then press Control Space. So Control Space bar, and then we get a search menu. And then what we can do is type Boolean and get channel Booleans. Press enter, and you can see it auto connects. If it doesn't auto connect, you can just drag it in to the to this thing. So this is the background image. And then let's grab another pass, so our reflection, for example. And let's drag that on, and with the left mouse button, you can just drag it on, and then it will connect to the foreground. You can also right click and drag, then you can choose where to connect it. Right, so let's go there. And then what we want to do is we want to add this. So when you're compositing passes together, you use these shallow booleans. So you don't use a merge like in Nuke. There's also a merge node, but you use that if you just want to layer stuff on top of each other. When you're adding passes together, so from multiple channels, then you do it like this. So, and let's do alpha background, I think. We can also just merge it in later. Let's just add the alpha later, because we need to copy that in probably. Right, let's copy and paste another channel boolean. Let's put in the GI. Boop. Add. Let's just put the other stuff. Let's put nothing. Right, so then we add that. Then we add the GI. Now we also just need to add the specular. So let's drag that one in. Boop. So we got the specular. And where did I keep my beauty? I thought I kept my beauty. Oh, this is my beauty. So you can see it's the same, apart from we're missing the alpha. So let's just copy and paste our beauty, because that one has the alpha, right? So you can just copy and paste another shallow boolean, put this in there, then put on the color. Let's just put this to copy. On the color to do nothing, and do nothing, and then do nothing, and then the alpha. Let's say alpha foreground, and then we have the alpha back, but then we have it composited. So let's call this one with F2 alpha. Right, so now we rebuild our beauty. You can see it looks exactly the same. And the good thing about rebuilding your beauty like this is now you have control over these passes. So if I put a color correct, for example, so in Nuke it's a grade node, here it's color correct. You see I can individually grade down, for example, my GI, or I could say maybe I have too much reflection, so I could grade down the reflection to sort of increase or decrease the the light from that thing. So you can also turn down the blend. There's a whole bunch of things you can do. So, and like I mentioned, what I also do is you can also denoise these passes individually, for example. Like let's say we might want to denoise the GI. Again, the denoiser, the Open Intel image denoiser doesn't work in Fusion 9. So there's another denoiser that's remove noise, but it's not really good. So this is the built-in thing. And essentially what that just does is sort of blurs it out. And then adds detail back in. It's like sort of okay for denoising, but not that great. So if you're on Fusion 16, what you could do is, let me load it in there. This is not set correctly. Let's put it to output. Where are you? So if you're on here, I could use Open Image Denoiser. Like that. And then put it to HDR light map, for example. And you can see it gets a little bit well, smudgy, but in general it's pretty okay. You can also put the ray tracing in an sRGB. I'm not sure on these exact settings, but I mean it helps denoising you. You do lose some detail, but it's fine in your GI, for example. I mean, it would be, you wouldn't really want that in your diffuse, but you can denoise your passes like that. Again, we cannot really do that in Fusion 9 here, so I'm not going to add that in. But if you're on Fusion 16, by all means do that. All right, so now we have our beauty recomped. And now let's create a saver and save this. Oh, by the way, what I'm doing here is you can see I rendered out at 1280 by 720. So if you're in Houdini, render resolution, by the way, is set on your camera. Or alternatively on your output, and you can override it. Where is it again? Main. You can also override it over there. So I just wanted a quick render. If you want to, for example, resize, you can just type resize, and it would resize it to the correct resolution. So you could if you first rendering this, it's probably a good idea to do a lower resolution render, and then later, once you know that everything is sort of okay, then you do your high resolution render. You're not gonna do a super high sample render, a high resolution render on well, from the get-go. Generally, I probably should have mentioned that. And then, because this is sort of just procedural, if you just swap it out, then it will just resize it. And then if you have it rendered at that resolution down the line anyway, then it might all be good. And also what I did, by the way, is what you probably want to do. I render with some overscan. Anyway, so we have these renders here. And let's now save out this comp that we did. So let's say we were happy with this rebuild of our beauty. But this is like a little bit slow. So let's say we want to save this out. So let's create a saver. Let's go to my folder. Call it, I guess, what should we call this? I guess maybe comp, let's call it proxy or something like that. Call it, let's make beauty v1. Call it beauty p001.exr. It'll do the frame padding later by itself. Let's highlight that. Let's now render it out. Press render. You can ignore that. You probably won't have that thing. That's for another thing related to the tutorial. So frame range. Let's do final resolution. Let's press start render. It should be pretty fast. So the reason why we're doing this is because if we're gonna look, is we in our terrain, of course, this render has all of the passes in it. So, like, for example, this frame is for 14.5 megabytes. If we go into our comp and then let's say our proxy that we rebuilt, it's only, well, it's 1/3 the size, because of course now we don't have these channels in there. So now we can just load it back. So it's just gonna speed up. It's just like file caching inside of Houdini. So you're just gonna do it like that. Fusion does have some sort of built-in caching where you can sort of say cache the disk, but this bugs. Apparently that's a known issue. There's a lot of bugs with that. So generally don't use that. I just create a saver and then load it back in. Right, so this is our rebuild beauty. Again, if you just later want to change some stuff, you can just render this again. You need to disable your other savers later, but we'll go more into that later. Okay, so let's comp some stuff on top. So let's grab our pyro, for example. And let's say we want to merge it up top. And we want to, oh yeah, we had to resize here. Probably don't want to resize, so I did that for the demo. Okay, so let's render it again. Okay, so okay, now my view is bugging, so let's put it back in. So then actually the size is even smaller now. Right, so plug that in, merge. So you can see now this works. I think I don't have the entire frame range for my pyro rendered. Okay, let's just put my output frame to an 18 then. All right, but you can see we have an issue here where apparently we did something wrong with the alpha, but no worries, so good. Absolutely no issues there. Let's just make sure that everything is sort of aligned properly. Okay, so there's something weird going on with the frame range. Let's see what happened there. So let's just have a look at it's fine. Okay, so for some reason, there's sort of an offset here with the passes. Let's see if that's correct now. Okay, so now this is fine. Not sure what happened there, but okay, so now this is fine. We comped it on top. Turn off the blend again. Okay, so you can see we have an issue here where, I mean, well, we don't have any alpha in that. So how can we get the alpha back? Well, I mean, don't worry about that. What we can do is, for example, let's copy our pyro, let's paste it here. And again, we made a couple of passes for this. So that's why you do these passes. So let's go to script, split the XR, and then we're going to get all of these passes. All right, let's go. This is our volume. Like, for example, okay, like I'm a little confused about why the offset is wrong. Let me just have a look at what's going on here. Yeah, let's just put these. So a little weird why that happened. Not sure what happened there. I'm just gonna change that up for all of these things. The streaming system is a little confusing to me in Fusion. I'm relatively new to Fusion as well. I was using After Effects before, so I recently bought Fusion Studio. Right, so now this is okay. All right, so that's looking good. Yeah, so we have this pyro here, and we just need to keep this in mind and keep checking this for all of our other renders. I didn't have that with my original things. I'm not sure what happened there, but anyway, so we have this fog thing, and you can see it's sort of an inverted version of where the pyro is. So we could probably use this as a mask. So if you drag this on here, it will put it in a mask. You can also right click on it, and then you can put it in effect mask. And then if we go to this tool here, so on the thing here, let's use for the mask channel luminance, and then apply mask inverted. So now we have some alpha. So you can see, boom, alpha. And alternatively, you can grade this. You could say color corrector. Oh, we should probably, yeah, we should. So you can see in this way you can sort of create the alpha. But I'm not going to do that for now. But looks pretty okay. So you see this was the original thing. And now we put it on top. Perfect. Okay. So again, you could color correct this. So that's also very nice why you do this multipath compositing. Because if we were to render this inside of one scene, you couldn't do this. So for example, if we want blue fire, you got blue fire, green fire, whatever. You could use other passes, for example, as well. Like here we have just the emission. So I could say have the emission, drag it in here, put it into the effects mask. And I probably want to say I'm gonna color correct this, take out the color and put up the gain. And I'm gonna say in this thing to the mask, luminance. So that's on this thing. And then I can just grade the. So when I do that, I can just grade the essentially where the heat is. So then I wouldn't grade the volumes. So you could use this to sort of like maybe change your color a little bit. So you see, then I'm not grading the smoke. I'm just grading the other stuff. You could use that, for example, to say, okay, this is too white. So I could also say that apply mask inverted. And now I could put the color back and just turn down the gain. And now we have some a little bit darker smoke. Increase the gamma for the alpha, so something like that. Let's put it to, I guess something like this. So you can see quite a lot you can do. Again, you could glow this, for example. So you could say, okay, I want to glow. Okay, I have Fusion Studio, but like again, now have Fusion 9 installed for this tutorial. So some stuff is not available there. I think this one is available. Okay. So you could say, okay, I want the glow, for example, on it. But you could say, okay, I only want the glow on the heat. So you would say the luminance. Oh, we need to plug in this one, of course. Okay, so the glow is messing up the colors a little bit there. I'm not sure if you want to do that. But that's the pyro. Right, let's add some more elements. Let's add these embers. So probably with these embers, what we want to do is go to import and turn. No, do we want to do that? No, it's not. Okay, let's just type a merge. Let's plug it on top. Say maybe screen. We could put it to lighten. Again, with the arrow keys, you can go through it. So probably we also need to offset this thing. Okay, let's add color corrector. See, we can just really work. Fusion is pretty fast in general. Well, I mean, it gets pretty heavy if you do some other stuff. So looks pretty cool. Okay, it's maybe a little bit extreme, so you might want to say go in here to the mask, turn down the blend. So if you completely turn it down, you can see it's gone, and then we reintroduce it a little bit. That looks pretty dope. All right, so let's do our shockwave. So probably still need to do this thing. Because again, I'm not sure why the timing went weird, but whatever. It's probably something I misconfigured in my ROPs, but if everything is configured correctly, it should be fine. Right, so let's put it in here. Let's put it to screen. And we could probably, okay, so I think this thing. Okay, I think this is okay, but we probably need to turn it down by a lot. Maybe you want to offset this time. I mean, this one is sort of overlaid anyway, so you can get away with quite a lot. Okay, that's looking dope. Okay, let's merge in some volume fog. Okay, where do we want to merge it? Probably a little bit earlier. We want to merge that behind the background. So let's put the volume fog in the background, so the orange, and the beauty in there. No, beauty in there. All right, there you go. Okay. Probably change it a little bit. But you can see how we're already getting quite a cool like the base effect to what I already had. So yeah, that's how you can build this. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to swap out these renders with my actual renders for my final scene. Because those are, of course, then I have the entire sequence and a lot higher res simulation. So it's just going to be a little bit better to look at and to tweak sort of. Because so yeah, I'm going to save a version 2. And I am going to swap out my renders, rebuild this thing that I have here, or it just reload these things. And then I'm gonna restart the recording. So I'm gonna be right back.